And I want to say also, before I forget, thank you for everyone who is making donation and making this meeting possible. And it is and those donations are supporting me, giving me hope in what I do. So thank you. And for those who do not give, thank you for being present. And it really doesn't matter if you give or not money. Your presence, it's
How
really
do
the
you
gift.
how do you donate, David? I'd like to donate. Is it on your website?
There is a link in the email that I
Right.
send every week.
Okay. Yeah. I'll
If
make
you're
sure. Yeah.
interested, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But that's one point that I can speak also a little bit about. Because we are all in this together, often it's helpful to be in group, to participate in group with this intention. It doesn't really matter the context of the meeting. If the intention is it's finding who I am, doesn't matter if it's Sufis, if it's Christianity, non-duality, or super extreme minimalist purist non-duality. It doesn't matter. What matters is the intention together with others that are interested in this topic, because this somehow it's very mysterious, because who knows why, but it just creates a field, it just creates something that is very supportive. Because uh, maybe it's a belief, of course, but it's this, because what is listening to these words is the same being that is speaking them. So this recognition that we are the same, it's very powerful. And that happens if you hold this intention in a group or in your personal life, even if you don't speak about this directly, but you hold this intention within you, you will see that the difference between the other and you will start to disappear slowly. The age, the money, the clothes, the sex, the color of the skin, everything start to vanish. And you start to connect, to read to yourself through the other, which doesn't mean anything, right? Well, what do you mean? But yeah, exactly. But that's something happened. And that's beautiful. That's what is called love. You cannot love someone else because someone else is the proof that you are separated. So it's impossible to love someone else. But the other can be an expression that for the love that you have for your own self. So it's really beautiful. So really thank you to be here. I really appreciate it. And if you have any question or sharing, you are really, it's an open mic.
Yeah, I've got a question, David, and it was a great introduction. That thank you very much indeed. And just part of your explanation. I know there's no separation, but maybe a talk between, for want of a better word, who we really are, if we can say that, is being or consciousness and mind. Because you said that it's the mind that perceives. Now, if we are, and just for want of a better word, I'm just going to try and create a separation that's not there. Said mind's here and we are being here. Just again, this is just for want of separation. Is it the mind that actually perceives? Or is it us, who we truly are as being, who does the perceiving? Because if we are the one that's conscious, we are the one that's aware, as being, as it were. Again, so I'm trying to explain it. Then is it not that the senses are filtered through the mind? But ultimately, they're registered as us, as the one who's conscious and aware. So it's actually being that's perceiving that, albeit that the senses are filtered through the mind for that.
Well, the way I will approach it, if I understand your comment or your question, only awareness is aware.
Yeah.
No one else, nothing else is aware but awareness itself. And if I use the metaphor of the dream, only the dreamer is aware. There's nothing else in the dream but the awareness of the dreamer. Yeah. So when the dreamer is aware, completely aware, there is nothing to be aware of. So there is no memory, there's no experience in the way we can understand. Yeah. It's just itself. And because there's no distinction, there's no differentiation, well, it's just beingness, nothing else. That's kind of deep sleep, kind of image of deep sleep. Now, what you call perception in reality is blindness. In reality, we manufacture, right? We manufacture, like you say, some kind of filter, some kind of receptacle to seem to be compacted into something. So that if you dream, that will be Peter in a dream, right? You fall asleep and I'm Peter. Peter, it's a contraction of what I am. It's a projection in my own mind. So I'm not Peter, of course, and I'm everything around Peter, and I'm Peter. Everything is myself, right? But the appearance of Peter, it's a modulation of my own being. So there's a modulation in my own being, and I manufacture Peter. But Peter cannot appear into nothingness. So Peter has to appear in an environment. So the witness has to be an object to be witnessed. So Peter has to appear in a physical world. So they are both appearances at the same time. Yeah. So that's the individual mind. Peter, it's a projection of my awareness. Yeah. So I manufacture an individual mind as much as I'm manufacturing the environment, the whole situation where seemingly Peter is living its life. And then that's your question: who is the one perceiving the mind awareness? Then Peter start to have thoughts. Then Peter start to see things. Then Peter start to sense things. Peter start to feel that he is inside a body living its life in a physical world. But there is no Peter. There's only the dreamer's mind that is confusing itself with its appearance, which is Peter, and the environment in which Peter seemed to appear. So when you have a thought that appearing, if we say that the dream is a thought, okay? If we say the full dream is a thought, Peter, the object, everything is a thought, right? It's non-physical that way. So you can say, you think that you think. You think that you perceive, and you think that you are sensing. But the thoughts from an individual perspective, the perception from an individual perspective, and the sensation from an individual perspective, it's a blindness of what you are. It's a filter that blinds yourself in reality. So it's not really perception because you don't perceive anything out there. What you perceive is in fact the same as the perceiver. There's no distinction between the one that is perceiving and the thing that you are perceiving. So in a way, when we begin, we believe that we are Peter and we need to wake up to something else. But if you don't perceive that all of those teachings are not talking to Peter, they are talking to that which believe that is Peter. This is the thing that need to wake up. And the waking up is really, it's the realization that you are not trapped. The dream is not a trap. Yeah. I don't know if it makes sense.
No, it does. It does. I can see that. Yeah. I can see that. Yeah. Yeah. But once you actually see that, in this case, you're not Peter, is it more of like taking the stand, as it were, for want of a better word, as awareness, and letting that recognition deepen, as it were.
Yeah.
That's where I feel that I am. So I'm still, I can see clearly that I'm not Paul. You know, I can see it a mile away, and yet sometimes I still attach, as it were. And it's not a big deal, by the way. Now it's not a big deal when I seem to attach as the character. I come out and go, oh, it just happened again, and it's like it seems to be getting less and less, as it were, and you know, the longer periods and all that.
Yeah.
So that's where I feel I am at the moment. But I feel
Yeah.
like just saying that the character is just a thought. I mean, I've been listening to like other teachers and all that. It seems like the ego on one level can just be a thought or whatever this character, but on another level, it can run even deeper into our psyche, as it were, subtly. So I know people who've been, for example, self-realized. Maybe you are, I don't know, whatever. But then they still got like desires and aversions and triggers and all this type of stuff to work through. So at the moment, my analogy, I don't know if this makes sense to you, Dave, and it just came to me the other day that the ego feels a bit like like an iceberg, where it's quite, I wouldn't say quite easy, but you can see like the top of it, like, you know, you're not the character, but then underneath it could have little motives underneath that aren't quite as visible, as it were, like aversions and desires and triggers and stuff like that. Are you with me? So I could see sometimes clearly that I'm not the character, and then I turn round and, you know, I could have an argument with my son straight away. I get triggered within 2 minutes of seeing that. Are you with me? So I fall
Yeah.
straight back into the role, and I'm just immediately, it's become crystal clear that I'm not the character. So what I'm trying to say is it's the ego seems a bit more complex than just what naturally appears, I think, as a thought. That's, I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I mean, the first thing is standing as awareness. I think I know religion is not really uh, famous at the moment, but that's what faith is. That's you take a stand that you cannot possibly logically explain to the mind, to from the human perspective. You cannot logically explain it completely, even if more and more with science, but science is so complex that at some point you don't know what you're talking about anymore. But the thing is, for your own self, you have to take a stand, and the mind will never be convinced, because the purpose of the mind is it's completely opposite of 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 the purpose of awareness, right? So at some point you have to stand, and that's the process of non-duality, and that's why there is teachings, and that's why I have an online course and I explain things in a very specific way, because at some point what is really useful is to apply this in your day-to-day life. And when you see the effect and the peace that you feel and the joy that you feel and the way how your experience is responding to this application, that's what will bring you faith. Or you say, this is true. I can't try to explain, but ultimately it's irrational. But it is true because look at the effect. It works, So there is a truth there, and that's how you start to enter into this higher understanding. It's a direct connection with intelligence. Intelligence is immediate. There is no reflection. If you reflect, you're already lost in confusion. Intelligence, it's a direct, spontaneous um, shining forth of something. It's just like this is it. There's no lag. There is no reflection. There is no gap. It's just that's why I use realization. You realize something. I knew this already. It's like, you remember something. It is a higher intelligence that just appear. So yeah, in that way, at some point, you have to take a stand, because this, what you are speaking here, in a normal perspective, it's too much for people. It's too much. It doesn't make any sense and everything. But it doesn't really matter the order. It's really for yourself, and it is the application that work. And that's why the process that I propose, there is 4 months, but there is many others. But there is 4 months. But the point is not really to understand. It's the way you apply it in your day-to-day life that will really show you that this understanding is a fact, and even deeper, that there is a peace that does not depend on circumstances, event, or relationship, or state of consciousness. There is something that transcends all of this, and that it is deeply mystical, in the sense that you cannot explain it. You cannot say no, A, B, C, and that's it. No, it's like you say, it's way more complex, way more multi. It's very paradoxical, but at the same time very, very clear. It's, and that's why often one specificity of reality, it is paradoxical from an individual perspective. It is completely paradoxical, because it allows everything to appear, but at the same time there is never nothing appearing. So the appearance of something is its disappearance, right? It's like if you watch a clock, right? The hour of the clock, the hour of the clock is never at, it never reached 12, because when it is arriving at 12, arriving, departing. The clock is never at 12. It is, so this is experience. When experience appear, in its appearance, it is already something else. But this is not nothing, but it's not something either. And that's the paradoxical nature of reality. And that's why at some point you have to take a stand, in the sense that you have to say, okay, the human mind will never understand. Never. That's just say, okay, this is limited, and I have to reach another way, another understanding, another intelligence to go deeper in my sensitivity. And that's the first part of you. I think that one. So the other part is this back and forth, right? That you have reactivity and things like this. From our perspective, I have a very banal human life, right? I have reaction. I have my psyche and my body are what they are, and they express themselves with their pathology, with their difficulty, with the struggle, with the specificity, with all of it. Whatever is the body, whatever is the psyche, they are appearing, and they are imperfect, right? Like everyone. I try not to hold too much to the belief that realization means that you are a saint.
No.
Because my belief and my experience, and I've met a lot of teachers, and some were very genuine and very amazing, but if there is a body and there is a functional brain, there is repulsion and attraction. If there is a universe and you're having an experience, there is repulsion and attraction, because the universe is this projection. So I think sometimes we hold those imagination that the person have to reach some kind of high spiritual standard, but the body is what it is, right? And the psyche that somehow is there, it is limited also. I think it's fine to try to make them more harmonious, but it will never work, because in the sense that it will never bring us long-lasting happiness, because the experience of the body and the psyche, thought, perception, this impression of being limited, of being an individual, is the separation, is, right? It's the manifestation of a separation of what I am. So in a way, we never be happy from that perspective. We can try to, but have you noticed that it always fails? Because
Right.
the body dysfunction, because everything here dies, because this world, this human life, it's a life that is dominated by it work with survival, it's survival of the fittest, right? So what I have, you don't have. What I have to take it from you, which is simply the fact of space. If I occupy this space, you cannot occupy this space. So this space of the body is unavailable to you. But if I know that everything, that's unbearable, because you are stealing space from me, because I know I am everything. So you are an issue to me. You stole space from my unlimited space, and then this is the issue. It is with space and time. We have never enough time, and space is always experienced as a limitation.
Mm.
So I would kind of try to see if you hold assumption about how Paul should be, how perfect he should be, how nice he should be, how generous he should be, all of this. I think it's easier to just say this doesn't mean anything, because Paul is an effect of something else, like the iceberg, right?
Mm.
So if you start to, like you said, to kind of sink into what you are, more and more probably the experience will start to shift, and things will happen. Maybe your character will be less preoccupied and this and that. But that's kind of a side effect. That's not really where the juice is.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you may, just one more question, and I'll hand over to someone else. It seems to be that almost like there's two ways of I know there's hundreds of ways of investigating, but just for the sake of this, that you can almost like turn attention back on itself to say awareness or whatever, or ask a question like who am I and all that. And that's almost like withdrawing attention back onto itself. But you seem to be going, as it were, outwards. It's not really, because you say it's all within, and checking the senses and experiences. And would you say that's one and the same query? I think you've said that, but I always get a little bit,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is the same, but often there is two steps, and that's what happened to me. That's why I'm expressing this perspective. The first one, you start to see, but wait a moment, I'm not a sensation, so I'm not the body, right? And I'm not my work. Uh, I'm not the role I play. I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a worker, I'm a citizen, I'm this, I'm that. I play those roles, but I am not a citizen of this country. I play the role. I have the passport with my name and a picture, but I am not this. I'm not that. Yeah. So yeah, you see, I'm not the role that people put onto me. I'm not nice. I'm not this. So the first you start to try to epure yourself from the false belief that you're holding upon what you are. So I'm not this. I'm not this. I'm not that. And that's how you sink back into awareness.
Yeah.
But at some point, experience is here. So when you sink back, you are kind of doing a step back from experience, right? So I'm not this, I'm not this, but experience is still there. So at some point you have to investigate also experience to see that experience is also awareness. In fact, experience is a shining forth of awareness, is a projection, is a dream of awareness. And that's how you it's not that you go into experience. It's more like you sink back into awareness, and then you take the dream and you dissolve the dream back into awareness itself. Just it's an image, like when you dream, the dream appear and you get lost in it, right? So first you put your head out of the dream's still there, and then you take the dream back into what it is, and it dissolve again.
Yeah, and it's almost as if, like you said, you've come back out and gone back in, and within the experience, I suppose you can recognize awareness is that as well, you know, because you've
Yeah,
come out and come back in. It's experience is awareness, and everything within it is awareness itself. Yeah, I get. Yeah, it's really
yeah.
well explained, that, David. Thank you. Yeah.
But the the ego or the brain or the individual mind will never accept that message. So at some point you have to kind of accept that this is a limited perspective that is there, and it will last until it lasts, you know. And that's just it's a functional. The purpose is to be functional. It's to communicate. But you know, we don't need to give a lot of meaning to it. Yeah. Thank you, Paul, for your questions.
Can I jump onto that? There were so many things. Let's see. But generally starting, is this all somewhat a concession to the, let's say, illusion in some sense that there is a person? I'm asking that because, yeah, when they're, you know, it's language, it's very difficult. So we have to talk in a certain way. I think you said that, Paul also said that. So, you know, making the separation and so on for explaining things. But in general, to me, it feels like everything is kind of a concession to be able to talk about something. There must be someone that you talk to, right? Even when you're saying talking to yourself, then you're directing it, I don't know, at something else at something else. And yeah, when I look into my direct experience, I cannot find the self, basically. And yeah, it's so when I hear phrases like I don't know, I have to I don't know, get in contact with my awareness, just saying general things, you know, like things like this somehow completely lost their meaning because also this meaning is just a meaning for what, for who, I mean, kind of thing, you know. So in some sense there's everything closed down, but everything also opened up at the same time. And even this feeling is a feeling that somebody wants to claim. So it's, you know, why I say that, it is, yeah, it's just happening. The words are just happening. You know, I'm not controlling them in that sense that I can, them, that there's somebody that controls them. But I feel, and when I say I, that's also, you know, me, a thought thinking or thought suggesting that there's somebody who could feel like he's perceiving something, or somebody who could feel that he is not as aware as like a second ago or something. All of these, and if I ignore these thoughts, then yeah, I see that everything's just happening basically without anybody there. But I actually cannot ignore these thoughts because there's nobody there that can do any ignoring, right? So it's kind of this weird position. I don't know if I just, yeah, that's just how it is, I guess, in any case. But like, what I would just like to maybe know, like, how's your perspective on the situation? And yeah, because in the end, everything, you know, it's just also me wanting to know your perspective is kind of there is somebody apparently, which thought is suggesting, who is interested in another person's perspective, but I know there is no person, so like it's kind of a, yeah, like you said it before, a the schizophrenic place to be in.
Yeah, I understand you, you know, and that's why I think we got lost in theory, in metaphysics a little bit too much sometimes. Can happen, you know, like you try to see if I'm not this, I'm that. And I think this is very useful, but at some point what we want is to be at peace, right? Ultimately, who cares? Who cares if you are if you feel that you are a person but you are very happy, you will never ask yourself who you are ever,
Exactly.
because you have money, you have health, you have woman, you have sports, you have partner, you have child, you
Right.
have everything, so everything is fine, right? So the issue is not really is there a person or not, it's really are you happy?
Yes.
And often it is because the sense of being a person is failing us constantly, and this world is failing us constantly, that we start to seek spirituality or non-duality or something else, because we see that this doesn't work. I try to do this, I try for 10, 20, 30, 40, 80, 90 years, and I'm still here miserable. So that's why at some point there's this investigation that need to take place to find lasting peace. And just to say that I will answer you, but I just want to say, okay, if you are happy with whatever word that makes sense to you, well, keep it on, you know. If you know, and but to answer about this part of, but I am here and this is not me, and things like this, there's everything is you. The only thing that is aware is awareness. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but even this
the
awareness
only
for me, I cannot, I cannot feel awareness as also like if I pay attention to where is attention coming from, it's like from emptiness basically. It's just everything is coming out of
yeah
nothing in some sense, So if okay,
yeah
I can
well
call this nothing as awareness, but it's that's just a concept, So whoever uses this word has some associations to it, and that's why they use it.
yeah well that's the difficulty of language,
Hmm.
because language imply always two things. It implies duality because it's thoughts. It implies
Yeah.
constant duality. It implies that there is things, like I say, awareness, and immediately in the word it implied it is some kind of object, some kind
Yeah.
of container of something.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. What did you say? But no, but I'm not experiencing a container. So there is no container. Okay. But that's the difficulty with words.
Mm.
You can say it's nothing, but this is not nothing either. Okay, so it is what it is, and that's the limitation of language.
Yeah, exactly. That's the
And that's
unknown.
where you have to take a stand and to understand that at some point you use word as a symbol, as symbols, but they cannot describe reality. That's
Mm.
just the nature of word and language. And that's one. And the second is thought always imply a doer, imply it imply a ownership of some kind and a doership of some kind. So if there's a thought appearing, right? Oh yeah, I am the thinker of that thought. I am the sensor of that thought. I am the 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 perceiver of that perception. It implies the perceiver, right?
Mm.
But like I use a metaphor of the dream, right? This implying is Peter, right? So you dream, you're having an experience of colors in your dream, just appearing in what is not space, it's spaceless, but still there's an experience, right? So there is sight, and somehow there's an interpretation. This is Peter having an experience, but the Peter is a thought. So the sight is a thought. The Peter is having the experience is a thought, and the mixing of both of them is the experience of having a dream. So then you say, yeah, but there is no I. Well, the I is that in which experience is appearing. So I don't know,
Oh, the I
probably
is
is
experience.
awareness, consciousness,
Yeah.
God, I
Yeah.
don't know what is the best word for you, pure consciousness or Brahma, or it points to that which is aware of this experience. And that of which this experience is made of, and that in which everything resolve or dissolve into.
Mm.
And
Yeah, no
that's the
word
only
really
I
makes
there
sense.
is.
Yeah.
But the sense of being an individual, the finite mind, Peter, will always have an impression that it take ownership of the ultimate I, of the absolute, as a person. It just compact it into a container. But as you say, you cannot find container. But the thought will, I mean, it never, I mean, it happened to me that it can disappear. But when it disappears, there is no human life. There is no experience. So that's the that's the confusion, the paradox of non-duality. People, or awareness, like Peter, awareness, identify as Peter, want to wake up of the dream. But the appearance of the Peter is the dream. So the Peter will never wake up because only awareness is awake. So David will never have an experience of the reality because the presence, the experience of David is the contraction of reality itself. And that's the paradox. That which want to escape is the experience of being in prison, of being in bondage. So the freedom is not freedom from the world or from the, is understand that I am not that which is in bondage. I'm not Peter. I'm not David. But like you say, but you know, there is this seeming contradiction. But it is a contradiction only from the finite mind, right? Because when you don't try to speak about it and you kind of feel the expansion, there is no conflict of any kind. There is just that, right? Yeah, and this expansion is what all the words are for in teachings. It's not about who is right. It doesn't matter if you want to talk about. Anyway, it doesn't matter. What matters is the direct engagement to have this feeling, this expansion. Yeah, this unspeakable expansion, which is happiness.
So to that, I think, so you're saying basically this, if I feel this expansion, I shouldn't get myself knocked up on whether, okay, who is feeling this as something good is clearly the, ego who wants to feel good. It is not awareness, because for awareness, everything, it's neutral, basically. I mean, everything is as good as everything, because, it's awareness still. Everything is awareness, everything is good, or, right? So that is why I started asking if this is concession in some sense, like it's this, okay, like you said, it's kind of, the mind is very, or the ego is kind of always looking for something. So you make a stance in a way to calm it down, saying, okay, here we can believe this and this, choose something, but then stick with it. So you are, kind of throwing kind of some candy at the ego and say, here, so you can be happy, you can expand, but knowingly this is actually not truly what's going on, but what's going on is unexplainable. So yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. There is two kind of pointers. There is the pointer that I'm seeing you are pointing to is this, because you are everything, there is nothing to do, and there's nothing you can do as Peter anyway to wake up. You're already awake. The dream is not really an issue. You are the dreamer. Pete is not an issue. What happened to Pete is not an issue. All of the problems of Pete are not your problem, and Pete will never be awake, and Pete will never understand. So therefore, there's nothing to do.
But let him dream.
Yeah, let the dream be.
Yeah,
that can be one approach. But honestly, is not very useful. I mean, you hear it once and it's enough. Okay, now you know. How many times you go to a meeting and you need to hear this for 2 hours? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fine.
Basically,
I mean,
the question of usefulness, yeah. But then
that's
turn
fine.
around, useful for who, basically?
Yeah, but there is, it's good. It's fine, because really what really matters is not really the word. You believe that your understanding is very important, but your understanding doesn't mean anything
Yeah, I know.
because
Some
you are
thoughts.
giving to your own understanding the value.
Yeah, there is no inherent value. Yeah.
Exactly. So if you see that there is no value in it, well, then you can have it, you can play with it, but you understand that really it's just to be useful, you know, to be happy. It's like art.
Well, I
Like I
like
say,
the play. Play's good.
yeah, like a play, but I understand your um, your question, but it's really a question of degree, right? Because even I know I'm aware of some teachers who do only this, right? There's nothing to do and there's nothing here. But then why do you speak? Why do you hold meetings? While what you're really saying is there is one thing to do is to come to my meeting and listening to me to say there's nothing to do. That's what you are really offering, which is nice. I'm not judging, but that's what you're offering. So yeah, that's fine. I'm
Yeah.
offering something else. It's I don't know, but you know, I think the really two things that are first, it's what's the purpose of this, right? What am I, and in the sense that it is useful and how it is useful to me in the sense do I feel more happiness?
Mm.
Not happiness in a immature perspective or childish perspective, like yeah, I have a new toy and you know, no, I mean, really it is something it is really deep and profound happiness. If this is working for you, well, keep doing it.
Mhm. Yeah, I really like the word play because it suggests that there is no, let's say, really rules. The rules are also kind of made up, and it's also there's no goal. I mean, yes, in the game play you can decide a winner or loser, but in the end, if the game is over, it has no meaning. So also like what does winning and losing mean in that sense? If you had fun, like is everybody not the winner, you know? So the word play in that perspective is has some profound insight for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see, I would never have thought that this word could be really meaningful, really. But for you, somehow it impacted you.
Yeah.
You see, so this is the proof that this is your experience
Mm.
and you are giving meaning to it. And you are setting the goals and the rules and the end and the ending line.
Mm.
Yeah. And that's the beauty. That's a very powerful understanding that nothing is imposed into the awareness that I am.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it feels like for me like it's like, I don't know, I think Paul said that, or I don't know, what you, like a movie, kind of your, like it's a movie, it's happening, you know, but while the movie's happening, you can, of course, some people can be very excited about what's happening. Some can just watch it and look at the colors or at the nice scenes that the, you know, people were like thinking, or the costumes or whatnot. But yeah, everything is still just the movie in some sense. But your experience can vary from person to person in that sense.
Well, because this is the issue with the issue is that we have you are not aware of my experience and I'm not aware of your experience, right?
Mm.
But somehow we are communicating and it seems that we're talking about the same thing. Like if there is an elephant and we are touching it or we are describing it from different parts, we'll have a different description, right?
Yeah.
But somehow we'll say, but this is what having the same description of the same thing that is out there is objective, right? And that's how the thought of materialism appear, right? Because we are describing things that seem to be the same, therefore there must be an objective thing, a thing that is neutral, objective out there that I'm feeling. But the thing is very clear, neutral out there. But we are having you and me and Dennis and Paul and Patea, we are having a different experience of the same thing. but but non-duality or this teaching is saying, no, reality, there is no reality. So the object is a manufacture of our experience. It's a projection of our interpretation.
Mm.
And then we believe there is some objectivity out there, but there is no objectivity out there. And that's a huge freedom, because this is the message. It's a message that is telling you you are free to have the experience independently of what other people around you are having, what kind of experience they are having. You can be in the middle of a war zone and not feeling fear.
Mm.
Why? Because the interpretation of the situation is inside you. And that said, this, no one can negate this. Even if you believe in matter and brain, you cannot negate that experience is inside you, whatever you believe it is.
Yeah.
So no one is imposing you your emotions, your interpretation, your perception, your thoughts. No one, nothing outside of yourself is imposing you this. And that's really the freedom of our seeming condition that is here. And that's the playfulness. So therefore, if you are happy or unhappy, you really start to stop saying that it is because the other, it is because politician, because war, because this. No, because you want, somehow your system is really in a way. So experience is like we are all in the bubble of experience, but what is connecting our experience is not a physical world, it's not physicality, it's consciousness. And that's why the image of the brain, of the dream, is very powerful. But there is one even more powerful, which is more powerful, I don't know, but it can be very useful, is the multiple personality disorder. That is a very recognized mental psychiatric dysfunction that that I don't know if you know, but it is that the mind is manufacturing different personality within one mind, and the personalities are not aware of one of the other. So when one appears, the other are asleep, and the other one appears, the two other are asleep. So they are not in contact with each other. Now, they have tests, and when those people have dreams, they have a dream from the different perspective of the different personalities that they are having, right? So it is not one personality doesn't have the same experience of another. But the fact that they're not in contact with the other experience does not mean that they're appearing in a different mind. And that's a very, very narrow comparison with this that is here. It is way more fragmented and differentiated and everything. But it is an expression of something. It is an expression that the ability of the mind to fragment itself, the ability of consciousness to fragment itself into different parts that seem to be different, that seem to have different experience, and seem to not be in contact with other. But when they're in contact with, like in a dream, what makes them in contact is not physicality, is consciousness. So when we speak, is not space and vibration through space and even inner ear and electricity and brain and then something else and whatever. Each consciousness that is transmitting what is happening in this bubble of consciousness, transmitting to your consciousness of consciousness. It's a bit long, but you know.
No, I get it. It's just obviously it's triggering more thoughts, but
Yeah.
but maybe somebody else
That's
wants
why
to also ask.
and after I will ask Denis that he have a question, and that's why sometimes the approach of there's nothing to do, there's nothing here is very nice too, because it's just like the mind is always kind of hitting a wall, and it's nice too.
Yeah. Thanks, David.
Yeah. I've asked Denis if Denis, you have a question? I saw the.
Yeah, thanks, David. Yeah, it feels like to me it feels like the same question is being asked by different people in different ways. And I feel like I had a question at the start and it's evolved now. So I'm going to put it in maybe two ways. One is quite quick and the other is a bit longer. But it's ultimately like I was going to talk about my story and the dream, which seems pointless now. So it's kind of evolved into two points. Ultimately, what am I doing here? And if I put it a different way, there's the dream of Dennis, as you said, and the world that arises with it. It all arises together, and that's all just happening. And then there's awareness, or that silent looking, or that ground of being, or that very foundation that everything happens in. I can't do anything about the dream. Awareness has no issues. And it feels like I'm somewhere in the middle in some sort of a purgatory, wishing I was back asleep or else awake, but this is the worst possible place to be. I don't even know if that's a question, but it's instead of me going on about the dream and how I want it to change.
The way I would say it's, there is two ways you can perceive your human experience, and it's a belief, but it can be really just useful to approach your experience that way. Human experience can be a prison, like something terrible that you're in a body, and just because the body is doomed to die, well, it's terrible, and you just hope to die in painless way, and that's the best you can have, and between two waves of suffering and pain, you just try to be happy, try to have good food, trying to have good experience, and just hoping that they last a little bit. So some kind of prison, terrible, a purgatory, right? Like just, and the other is, this is the process of remembering, of learning, and everything that is thrown to you, it's a tool to support this thinking even deeper and deeper and deeper in your mind.
Yeah, it feels like though that it's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And I know a little bit of me can say, yeah, this because this is something I've known for a long time. I say, oh, that could be a good thing. That could be a good thing. I won't give it 100%. I'll always keep 1% for that could be a good thing. But everything's worse. And death, in a way, not worried about death. That'll take care of itself. It's more about trying to live a life while you have a life. If you do have a life, which is what it feels like. Nearly regretting ever starting a spiritual journey. It feels like the worst possible place a human being could be.
What is the issue? Because you seem to be healthy. I mean, you don't seem to have hunger or any physical needs. You seem to be in a safe place, and you seem to have enough wealth to end the day. So what is the issue right now?
Yeah, I suppose it's put simply like it's just the feeling of not being happy, not being comfortable in my own being, in my body, in like you said, potentially having a lot more than other beings have, but still that doesn't matter. Doesn't make a difference. Now, if it was gone, obviously, I can imagine how that would happen. But that's more dreaming. That's the dream. I can't do anything about that. I can't just decide to change things because if I could, I would, and I'd have done it already.
What is the most difficult thing right now?
Also, it feels like the body is energetically or emotionally blocked and tight, and just on an energetic level, it just feels like instead of a nice clear stream of running water, it's a murky swamp of shit.
Okay. Do you feel this right now?
Yeah, in the form of sensations and
Mm.
energies.
So what is it? Is the sensation? The sensation is telling you that is difficult.
Well, when you say it like that, difficult is added to the sensation. It's like the sensations are something I'm more and more moving away from. I'm now back to my original question about feeling uncomfortable, not being able to sit still, distracting myself, feeling like even trying to sleep is getting difficult. It feels like it's all getting worse. And yeah, there are sensations, emotions, pains, which all distill back to sensations in the body that feel uncomfortable, that feel worsening. Um, Life feels more and more serious. So, so I suppose I wrapped that all up earlier in,
Yeah.
sure, it's the dream, and what can I do about it? Because you said it's a dream, and there's nothing you can do about it. So
Well, that's not really okay. Mhm. It's important. We often we haven't learned how to be with sensations directly. To be with sensation as they are in the moment. And what happens often that we mixed up somehow the sensation with the interpretation of sensation. And so it can happen that we have the impression to be with a sensation, but we are with the interpretation of it, not with the actuality of sensing. Because the sensation itself is never the issue. It's the interpretation that we do of the sensation that is the feeling of it's terrible. It shouldn't happen. There is something wrong.
it's all part of the dream.
Yeah, but I would not use what I say that way, because I'm thinking I'm in the impression that you're using what we are talking about here in trying to dismiss what is uncomfortable in you with the hope that it will disappear. The difficulty is the individual mind is a system that work with survival. So when you start to go deep and deeper, at some point it will start to feel threatened. You start to feel that it is terrible. Don't go there. It's a terrible path. This is not the path of survival. It's not the path that I'm interested in. So that's why this gloom, everything's had to be gloom and terrible and very serious and all of this. It's an appearance, of course, but don't try to dismiss it as in a way try to negate. I think it's really
No,
about sensitivity.
yeah, I'm not dismissing it, but it feels like, okay, I can feel sensations, and okay, then there's going to be a little bit of sadness, and then I feel a little angry, and then I might have a little cry later, and there we go again, and I feel a little bit better, and forever and more, this will recur and keep recurring and keep recurring. So we're in that space of feeling, and well, where is awakening in this? Where is the you don't wake up? Awakening's awake, and like that's back to the question: what are we doing here?
Ah, you are suffering. That's what you're doing here. Enjoy. No, joke apart. That's why I start often. I start with explaining the nature of thoughts. I think I'm repeating myself, but that's the purpose of it. Thought is always put everything in time. So when you feel shitty, when you feel something that's difficult, it will put it in time. So it will put, oh, I feel shitty for a week, or for 2 weeks, or for 2 months, or for 2 years. I will feel shitty for 5 years, or even forever. Or even worse, there is no hope of awakening, because awakening seems to be the end of any negative emotion. So somehow awakening is not here. So I will suffer for the end of time. And it stretch a difficult experience into time, and it make it way more difficult to be with, because you are feeling terrible right now, but you keep talking about the past, that you try in the past, and there is no hope for the future. There's no awakening for the future. You still think that it's about time.
I really don't know what it's about.
Yeah, go
David,
ahead, Paul.
do you mind if I try and explain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Dennis.
Hey, Paul.
You said at the start, I think you opened up with something like, there's a dream on one side, and you said there's awareness on the other side, and there's you in the middle in a sort of like purgatory, something like
Yeah,
that.
that's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay. So what's this you in the middle that's in the purgatory? Because I think I can help you actually. I think if I can just explain, if you can just explain that.
Well, it's either just another part of the dream that's appearing as Dennis and all this, or it's some sort of a halfway point to awareness that has no problem with anything. It's like something's trying to bring them together. They're fractured, or there's like it's like a non-dual. There's not two, but it feels like there's two.
But yeah, but I mean, ultimately, we are the awareness. So I'm going to try and get you to this point, and this is a good question that I used to ask myself actually. So we're told that ultimately we're not the mind or the body. So if we're not the mind or the body, Dennis, can you tell me an undeniable truth about yourself? An undeniable, unshakable truth about who you really are.
I'd have a look. Straight away, the thought of I am came in, but that's your typical Nisargadatta statement. So I don't want to just rattle that off without it being
No, so forget you've read any book or stuff.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
In your own direct experience, just tell me it's a very matter of fact thing that we're not the mind of the body. Tell me something an undeniable truth that can never, even if the Buddha came up to you, you could say, no, this is a truth about who I really am. You can't get this wrong, by the way.
Yeah, I know. What I want to say is experiencing.
Yeah, yeah. Go on, you're nearly there, yeah, but that's part of it, yeah. You're experiencing, which means what?
There is experiencing. I don't even want to say I'm experiencing because that I can't ground I into anything.
I think what I'm getting at, Dennis, is that you're alive. You exist. There's existence there, and that existence is both conscious and it's here now. So what happened with me is people I've read in books and watched 1,000 YouTube videos, and people were telling me I was infinite awareness and infinite consciousness, and it was just a belief. And it's, although I sort of like believed it were true, it was just a belief, it was a doubt. But when you go back to an undeniable truth that you exist, everybody's got this recognition that you exist, you're alive, you're here and now. So rather than searching for some groundless, bottomless thing that someone's told you, just inquire into your own undeniable existence. That's it. So who you really are is what's existing right here, right now. So don't look for anything. You're not searching for anything. You're just inquiring into your own very being right here, right now. That's who you really are.
Yeah, when you say that though, I kind of want to say, yeah, but I exist as a body. I exist as a person, a separate being in this place with others and everything else.
But when you say that, then this is what David was saying about them. So when you start thinking that you're the body, this is where a good inquiry goes into for example, to rule out the body. Some good inquiries would be how much the body has changed from when you was a child. You've got pictorial evidence of the pictures all the way through from, I don't know how old you are now, you look relatively young, but from when you were as a child, and the body's in a constant state of change. All your mind and your emotions, your feelings, experiences, sensations, all of that's changed. So if all of that's changed in where you are, if you looked in the mirror and you said, I was Dennis at 5-year-old, and you looked in the mirror and you said, you're Dennis now, what's the constant thread that's run all the way through? Because your body's in a constant state of change. And like David said on numerous calls, it'll surely die. So
Yeah.
even now, our bodies, I mean, by the way, this is science now. I think it's virtually every cell in the body replenishes every 7 years, virtually.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in essence, we're not even the same bodies as if we came on this call. Thousands of million cells have reproduced. So the body's not a constant. So it's that constant thread that's been through all the experiences, and that's what you need to get. But when you go, so I would just, rather than search, just inquire into your own existence. You're not. This is what got me for years. I was free. People were telling me I was infinite awareness, and it was just a free floating comment. But when I got to the undeniable truth that it was just this existence here, the search was off. It was just an inquiry then. And I found out that this very existence by default was infinite and conscious. So I got to infinite consciousness by just looking at the evidence. It's evidence-based. It's not a belief. It's evidence-based in inquiry.
Yeah, but I can say, okay, based on that conversation, I can look and say, okay, I'm awareness, or you could say your consciousness. And again, we're just putting words on something we we experience, but we don't. The minute we try to label it, it becomes not that. But how does that lead to shift or a transformation or a knowing or you
Well,
know?
all I can say, what happened to me, I got a flash, I got a bit of an insight, but only by the inquiry itself. So I looked into, for example, what is it observing the thoughts? I mean, that's a definite inquiry, that, isn't it? There's something, we'll call it there, that's observing the thoughts. You know, what is that?
Yeah, silence. Yeah.
And there's a you in there as well. I mean, it feels like a you initially. I mean, when you go deeper into it, I mean, a lot of people go into insights further down the line, as it were. But I just stick with the insight that it feels like a you in there watching the thought. So, really, really inquiring to that. That's direct experience there and now. You know, that's what really helped me. Sorry, David. I think you want to jump in, don't you?
That's fine.
Yeah. So I think the point what I was making, Dennis, is that I was just sticking to evidence. I was just sticking to, instead of, saying people was, I was awareness or infinite consciousness. I just went, well, I exist here and I'm conscious and I'm here now. So I just started for the undeniable truth that, what is this existence that's listening to this voice, that's seeing this, or hearing this right here, right now. And
I
the
know.
yeah,
Yeah, it's just with the frustration of it all. I feel like I could say to you now, well, I've been doing that on and off for 20 years. So like I'm kind of, I feel like I've tried everything in the book without you had a flash, a shift, knowing something changed. That's your experience. Mine might be different. There's just a lot of frustration here and a lot of
I get that, then.
um anger, frustration, kind of paralysis essentially about. Yeah, it was only the other day I was thinking about like just pack this shit all in, stop going to meetings, stop watching YouTube videos, forget about it all, go back to work, live your life, garden, walk, and forget all this shit because this is the cause of all your problems.
Yeah, well, do it and see if you can.
I'll probably be back in 2 weeks, David.
No, at some point, and this, I understand completely where you are, and what happened to me is that this is the taking the stand that we talked at the beginning. You have to say, this frustration is something in you that is trying to analyze, to find security, to allow something to happen. It want to understand, to kind of surrender, but because it will never understand, it will never surrender. So there is some kind of taking a stand, and the stand is very different from everyone, but what I'm receiving in the people that I'm holding and what I'm talking to is the stand is I don't understand anything. I'm highly frustrated. I have a lot of emotion. I don't know what's happening, but I will not move from this sensitivity. I will stay with this sensation. I will stay with this emotion as long as it is needed, no matter what. No matter what, I will stay here and I will feel this. I will do this until my death if I have to, for 40 years, 50 years. Eternity doesn't matter. I will not move from this. I will feel this that is here, no matter what. No matter what. This is the ego, this is non-duality, this is consciousness, this is work, this is this is that. I don't give a fuck. I just will feel this right now. I don't understand anything. That's fine. I don't need to understand. I just need to be with this sensation as it is right now. And that's it. And this can be a very powerful step.
Yeah.
And you
Okay.
can still go to toilet, go to work, do whatever to do to support yourself. But I did it, and really, it really was very supportive.
It actually feels quite relieving to hear you say that. I'll let this just be my teacher. That's actually quite easy
Yeah.
to do.
Exactly, exactly. And you can, there is many things you can do, you will see, but this is something that has to come from yourself. Because I think you're in a place that you see, you understand all of this enough. You understand enough. So now you don't need to understand more at the moment. It's fine. But you see the inevitability of your situation, that what you feel is inevitable. You know that, but at the same time you don't want to feel it. So when will you allow yourself to feel that? Because you know you'll never run away from it. You can go to work, go to party, do drugs, and do whatever this world can offer to you. You know at some point you will finish in prison or in a hospital or in your home, and you will have the same sensation, the same
Yeah.
spot, exactly. You know that.
It's here waiting.
So now, how long will you push this encounter? How long? You can go on your life. It's fine. No one can force you to feel this. But so you have to, where you are, I will stay with this. It's like there is no running away. This is surrendering. People talk about surrendering like it's beautiful and it's nice, but often it's a trick. It's it's terrible, because true surrendering is see that, oh shit, I have no choice. I have to feel that this is it, and it feels terrible, but this is it, and there is no choice. Acceptance is to see that you have no choice. It's not that you have the possibility of not choosing. So now you know. So how long will you push this? How long will you postpone? A day, 2 weeks, 6 months, a year? That's up to you.
Yeah.
But you know that you know that at some point you will have to meet this sensation, this energy directly, without teacher. You have to be with yourself, with that, in a way or another. You have to find your way with this. You have to encounter this energy directly. And now you know that there is no escape, there is no smoothing, there is no. This is it. This is now.
Yeah. That's helpful.
Yeah. And this is true hopelessness. Hopelessness is terrible, but there is no other way. This is it. This is what's happening for me.
Yeah. It's like you feel like, oh, I'll give up. But you can't give up. Giving up has to happen, and it's quite painful.
Well, meet difficult emotion, meet this part that doesn't want to give up and it's painful, meet all of it. But you have to you know what you have to do already. You don't want to do it, but you know you have to.
Yeah, I know the first step. I don't know the rest.
You don't need to know the rest. You need to do the first one.
Mm.
And you need to stay to keep doing this first one. Everything else will take care of itself. But do this first one, you will see everything will happen. But you cannot do this first step by holding belief that it will be easier. You have to just do it. And that's the standing. You have to stand firm in this. I will be with that no matter what.
Yeah, I can see the subtle fears behind it, that I'll fall apart, that everything will go to shit, that, life will be over. They're all kind of hiding around the corner in my mind. But I don't know is the real truth.
I'll find out. Now it's a moment. Let's see. Do it and let's see if you find if your life really goes to shit, because anyway it's going to shit now anyway. So I don't know. You have to do it. And it's
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's helpful, guys. Thank you.
okay. On this happy note. And come back, Dennis, and tell us if what happened, yeah? When you can.
Yeah.
In a
Yeah.
week or 6 months or whatever. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you everyone for your presence. Take care.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Thanks.
everyone.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Bye.